Right now, let's talk about Vikings defense 2023 versus Vikings defense 2024. Are they better, and by how much from last year? Luke Braun, let's start with you.
It's so hard for me to say that they are better when they've lost Danielle Hunter, like when they've lost their best player. And maybe they've kind of moneyballed and replaced that player with a little more depth. Like I would say their depth on the defensive line maybe is better. They've got a lot more veteran experience on the D line now, and will perhaps rely on undrafted rookies like Andre Carter a little bit less. Assuming all these guys like even make the team. Like looking at it, like one of the guys like Jihad Ward or whoever probably is getting cut. So a lot of these depth signings, like we've gotten that much in terms of just sort of like veteran Justa guys, but Justa guys like do not a defense make. So I don't think I can say the D line is better. Obviously the secondary is better. All they did was add Shaquille Griffin, and then it's the exact same group. And then I guess at linebacker, it depends on how you feel about Blake Cashman versus Jordan Hicks, who are two guys who, despite their reputations, are the exact same height and weight. I think within a pound of each other on their listed height and weights. Jordan Hicks is obviously a much more physical player. Blake Cashman's a better player in coverage. Pick your choose, I guess. So I don't know, maybe treading water a little bit more experienced, a little bit less superstardom. I don't know if I would take that more, but it's also not a complete thought yet. Maybe there's like a draft pick that goes in, or maybe there's another big free agent coming. They still got money left.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. If you sat there and went player by player, right, and say, okay, we lost this guy, but we added this guy, I think you're right. It's tough to feel a lot better about the actual talent and say for sure, 100%, this defense is going to be better than they were last year. Like Hunter to Grenard. Okay, yeah, you're right. I get it. More money ball, salary cap wise, it makes sense. If that's what they had to do, so be it. But on a game-to-game basis, nobody's going to argue talent-wise. That's a downgrade. One step forward, two steps back. Cashman for Hicks, I'm with you. Maybe net neutral. I think Cashman's going to be a lot better in coverage for sure, which is great. But I think Hicks, and I get it, he's a little bit older now. There's just some intangible things on that side that's going to be tough to replace. And then Van Ginkel is the one, man, and we talked about it on Monday. I'm geeked.
We're geeking.
Dude, we're geeking. I think he's going to be like the ultimate warrior. I want him to do that John Randall Ultimate Warrior face paint going on. Get those little strings going on around Ultimate Warrior style. I think he's going to be a fan favorite for sure. So I think that's an upgrade. I feel good about that. I feel confident saying that. I think that's an upgrade over DJ Wanham. What else? D-line, yeah. Tillery, good pass rusher last year. Cornerback, okay, it was already good, about the same. You go player by player, though. I think it's about net neutral. I mean, Van Ginkel's an upgrade. Cashman and Hicks about even. Downgrade with Grenard. Really, at the end of the day, I think where the improvement is going to be is just having the same 80, 85% core starters and depth back in the same system for the second year in a row. I mean, it's a system that we all know. We've heard even the players describe it. Super exotic, can be really mentally challenging at times for guys. But now having that just comfort level with the whole thing, being able to, not think so much and just go play. I think that's where the improvement is going to have to come from at the end of the day.
Maybe a little bit less injury gambling when you have Van Ginkel instead of Davenport. Yep. Maybe a little more assurance that you get more snaps out of him. Having Griffin in your cornerback group, an injury-prone cornerback group, a little less gambling there. Jordan Hicks, I guess I wouldn't call him an injury gamble. Blake Cashman's probably about even in that regard. But I think that there is more upside with this defense, in my opinion, because you've gotten younger, you've gotten a little bit more depth at various positions. You were already deep at safety. Now, the unfortunate part is you can't stamp and say, okay, they're gonna get a day 2 draft pick in here as well. They're probably not.
Yeah,
they're probably getting one draft pick the first 2 days of the draft. And
guys. Yeah,
he's going to be.
You don't even need to turn your TV on Friday. I mean, you might as well just show up Saturday. You know?
This is going to be great for all of the all the old folks who would always complain about Rick Spielman trading down, so they had to stay up later on Thursday night. Not going to be an issue.
That's so true. That was so funny, man. Especially with the Patterson trade, was just incredible.
Yeah,
everyone's just like, oh, all right.
The funniest was the Madison trade, because that was 4 different trades in the same span of like a half an hour.
It's so good.
So if that kind of thing bothered you, you're in luck.
Yeah, it would be
huge win for the beat writers, though. They are just thrilled about Friday developments.
Yeah. Well, and they'll probably write the biggest piece they'll get in like 3 years because it'll be a quarterback.
That's true. Oh my gosh, that's got to feel crazy.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, yeah, it is unlikely for us to be able to like point to the draft and be like, yeah, with the draft and free agency, they got better. With free agency, it's just a wash, but you add in the draft. Yeah, obviously that'll be tough. But, you know, I do think that they'll probably invest pretty heavily in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds in defense. And one of those players may emerge as somebody that could provide, you know, a critical role. And I'm not saying somebody that could just start right away at defensive tackle or something like that. But all right, there it is.
We're live. We're live. We're going to do it live. Just do it live.
We're going to do it live. For audio listeners, don't ask.
Thank you, Macho.
Yeah, don't worry about
it. You.
But I will say that, like, you might end up with like a rotational pass rusher, right? 4th, 5th, 6th round. And that might prove to be an essential element for the defense, right? So, like, I agree with the macro level stuff that everyone's been saying here that, like, hey, maybe the defensive line's a wash, the secondary is a little bit better, linebacker group's a little bit same. I actually think that, and I like Cashman a lot, I just think that Jordan Hicks played so outstandingly that might be a downgrade from the 2023 performance, but that doesn't mean it wasn't the correct move, because I don't know that Jordan Hicks can repeat it, right? So, you know, who cares kind of in some way. So, yeah, there might be a little bit of difference there. But for the most part, it's mostly a wash. The draft is probably not going to change it. And like Luke said, you know, the benefits may come more from additional time on task with the guys that they did retain.
Dude, imagine if Flores had left. I mean, how would we feel right now talking about a new defensive coordinator? Like, that's where the optimism.
I think they would have approached things a lot differently too. Like, I'd be a totally different group of people. So yeah.
I mean, people forget it wasn't that long ago. That was, you know, low key one of the bigger topics that, again, I'm not sure people realize just how
everybody assumed
it was to get him back.
Like, after that Vegas game, everyone was like, well, Flores is gone, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You
never know.
ESPN piece where they revealed all their strategy.
Yeah,
and they were never the same. Kevin Seifert ruined the season.
Right.
Kevin,
it was over. Jinxed
it. Our good friend, Michael. Can we trade Scene, Booth, or Asamoah by attaching them to a trade? I don't think Booth and Scene are worth anything. I don't know about Asamoah, to be honest, either. I don't know if any of them have significant value. Your thoughts?
I don't think much. Like, think about it. Like, you're super willing to get rid of these guys, right? Because, you know, they're not doing anything for you. Who's going to buy into that?
I would say, I wouldn't say the word significant is a good word to attach to their potential value. I do think that there's the possibility that Scene could get you some change, just because you know the first round pedigree and, you know, good athlete.
Haven't seen him yet. Yeah, but again, you see some of the trades. You see some of the like veteran player trades for day 3 picks, and some of them are like, that's it, that's all that cost. So Lewis Scene, different than again, age and first round pedigree, different than like a Keenan Allen. I'm just flinging out there, but I agree with you, Reef.
That was
wild.
Get some
change. Six round pick is probably what I would expect though. At the moment.
Cam Dantzler, I think, had more value than any of those 3, and he was cut. Right?
He was cut.
Yeah. Which was, by the way, a great call by Luke Braun about this time last year, before there was any steam about that. And then didn't it happen right after OTAs?
I think, I think I was like I think I said, when I do all my roster predictions, I'll probably do like a spicy take that Cam Dantzler won't make the team. And then he got cut before camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good.
If anything, I was too high on him.
How incredulous were we, Sam? Do you remember? Were we like, oh my God? Or we were like, hey, that's an interesting
I think it was like a hot take. Like, we were looking for hot takes at that time.
Oh, okay.
It had to be a hot take. That had to be pretty spicy.
Hunting for them.
I kind of think I nodded along with this one. It wasn't quite as dramatically good as the Najee Thompson prediction, which is one of the great predictions of all time.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.